Shiva Natraja was born into a cosmic dance. Who are you if not the product of his hands? A man who moves with the glimmer of gold and the grace of lotus. A survivor, a dreamer, a lover of all colors. When trapped in a ring of fire, you can either let the flames consume you or inspire you. You never let the darkness of the temple keep you from seeing the light. A star in a labyrinth of galaxies, you made this world your blank page. Now, splatter every color onto the canvas. Leave your footprints in the paint. Live the art it makes. Your body is a silhouette against the sun, dancing into eternity. You are a god with a tabla for a heartbeat, with a song in every step, with love in every breath. Sometimes, life forces you to slow down your pace. But like the earth, like any celestial being, you don't ever stop spinning.
So back in 2008, I found a lump on my testicle and flipped out. And my parents were like, just get an ultrasound done, it's probably nothing, things like that randomly happen. So yeah, it turned out that it was nothing. It was a calcium deposit based on the ultrasound results, and I was relieved. So when my groin pain started beginning around 2011, 12-ish, I didn't make much of it. I thought I must have hurt myself dancing, jumping, and just figured that I hurt myself. And I also noticed that I had another lump on my testicle. And I couldn't remember if it was still the same one and that dissolved and this was a new one. I just wasn't checking myself. Like, I mean, that wasn't something that I was doing. I didn't feel like I had to do that, or it wasn't something that I even thought of. So I was taking UTI medication for 7-8 months, and that was it. And but the pain wasn't going away. Yet I kept going back for follow-ups during those 7-8 months, and he kept telling me that, you know, you just have a UTI and it's gonna go away, and that's what it is. I did the ultrasound and the results came back that I had a tumor and on my testicle. And the next step was to do a biopsy and to obviously remove it and then find out if it was cancerous or not. So after my surgery, the biopsy came in and it was cancerous. So the next step that we had to take was to see if it had spread, if the cancer had spread anywhere. So then I had a couple appointments at UCLA Medical Center. And it was like CT scan, just checking to see if it had spread. I had the bomb drop on me on November 23rd, 2012, Thanksgiving, that the cancer had spread, and it had spread all up into my abdomen. And the oncologist had said, okay, you will have to come in for a consultation to talk about what the next step is, because your possibilities are either we remove the cancer from your body through surgery, because it was all over my lymph nodes. So we remove that, or we decide on treatment, whether it would be chemo and radiation or just chemo. And I think at that time I went numb. Like completely numb, and because in my head I kept thinking that whatever was cancerous was on my testicle, and that's now gone and I'm good to go. And I didn't know that this was the beginning of the nightmare.
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was hard. But we were all together. We took care of him. So I told him we'll fight and we won't have anything happen to you.
Every member in my family was very emotional, and so I had to sometimes pretend.
Like you could see the fear on their face, and then I started crying and I said, I have to go back for more tests, and it's not done yet. Like they said that I have cancer. And I think I just lost it. I just completely lost it.
We just try to figure out how we can move forward as a family and make the best of it. So we just figured that together we would have to work as a family and just figure out what would be the best protocol to go forward.
The interesting thing is that this is all happening in a time where I felt that my life is finally like content and together. You know, my career was fantastic. You know, everything was in its place, the studios, whatever television opportunities I was getting. Came out to my parents, so I know I wasn't hiding anymore. I just bought a home. Finally, like I'm living in my modern family together with my now husband, my adopted daughter Kushi. So life is great. Then this happens, and it You literally feel as if someone pulled the rug underneath you. And then you innately go into survivor mode. Like, I just all of a sudden one day woke up and go, okay, let's do this. I'm ready. What's the game plan? How are we gonna tackle this? And my sister took immediate charge at that point.
I, being like A-type personality, decided that everybody needed a job.
My mom, omelets and anything that I would want to eat for lunch, breakfast, dinner. And then she would massage my legs every night. She would sleep on the couch. She refused to go to her bed and sleep in my parents' room. She wanted to be right next to me, just in case I was in the guest bedroom. And I kept telling her, you don't have to sleep here. You can go. I just want to be here just in case. And she did that for 9 weeks. I felt as if I was reborn, but reborn through her in a different way. It was really beautiful, and I can't ever explain it. Dad would make me his morning freshly squeezed pomegranate and nectarine juice. That's what he had for me every morning. My sister was my medical buddy. She went to every appointment, took notes, asked the right questions, got the right answers, kept the calm and the peace within the chaos between my parents sometimes, because things would get tense. And she was like the medium, like just keeping the peace and keeping structure and keeping everyone organized. One of the most important things in my life, aside from family, is my work. I started my company from scratch. It was a one-man dance school with 10 kids in a garage. And at the time when I got sick, it was a 500 student, 6 location under this one company called NDM. Because clearly I can't go to work. I can't teach classes. What happens to my kids? Will the recital go on? Should we close for the next 6 months? Like, what do we do? The answer was one word, one name, Kushi. She did it all. This is my assistant, my manager, my confidant, my daughter that I have. She took over NDM, literally took over all my classes, and between her and mom, they handled all the admin, and they made it happen. And she literally saved the company, aside from her duties that she has from her classes and costuming.
I think it's devastating, to say the least. I mean, if I had to describe it, I would, but it's a feeling that I don't think I could ever put into words. It wouldn't do justice, because I don't think there are words to express the height of emotion that you feel. Literally, it's as if someone pulled the floor beneath you and you don't know where to go.
Kakela was what I say he is to me, which is my quick vacation. He just puts a smile on my face, and after work he would come straight to my parents' home on the weekdays, and and he would usually come at a time where I was probably sleeping or just knocked out or just very tired from the treatment. But he'd say a few words and make me laugh, and that's the support that I got from him.
So finding out about Knuckles' cancer was definitely hard. However, the way I took it is that, okay, so I need to be strong for him and the family. So it was all about, okay, what do we do next? Like, what is our next step? What do we need to do?
It's tough to see your guru go through all that, and it's not easy to not know and not be there directly for them, but he was in my thoughts and he was in my prayers, and you know, every day I prayed for him. So, but seeing him at that moment, it was really nice because I think I got to see that he was still in good spirits just because he waved to me and I saw him smile, even though he did look sick and ill.
Cancer can be deadly. He's very young and I didn't expect it.
I was so inspired by his strength that he had, and I truly mean that. And we started really having a deeper conversation even during our training session, which I loved because we really got to know each other. And one of the things that I experienced was a lot of xenophobic comments towards who I was, my faith, my background, and Nakul really helped talk me through those experiences, and through his strength I was able to find my own.
Of course, our first concern to him was his well-being, how he was going to be treated. One of the things that we really felt connected to was what was in his best interest. So we knew that we had to take a moment for his career to give him that time to get healthy.
It was similar to the first day of school. My mother packed a small bag of snacks that consisted of crackers, nuts, and Gatorade. To pass time, I had downloaded movies on my iPad and brought magazines to read. I mentally prepared myself to get through these next 6 hours, sitting in a chair. It was my first chemo, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I was scared and went in really upset. Upset because this was the start to 9 more weeks of this and a year to fully recover. It seemed so far away, and I just wanted to be back to my normal schedule. I wanted to be back at work. I wanted to have my date nights. I wanted to watch Bollywood movies with my family. I just wanted my life back. I didn't understand why this was happening to me.
And what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
I'm sitting there, and this older lady next to me, probably in her 60s, very classy and sophisticated, looks at me and says, as if we're some inmates at some prison, "What are you in for?" I said, "Excuse me?" "What are you in for?" she said again. "Testicular cancer, stage 2, I respond. "Ah, I'm so sorry to hear that," she said. "You'll be fine." "Yeah, I will." Then I looked at her and said, "What are you in for?" She said, "Colon cancer. I'm in for life." Immediately I said, "I'm so sorry to hear that." But inside I felt so stupid for complaining about 9 weeks of chemo when this lady sitting here has to do this forever, or until her life is over. At that very moment, it came clear to me. I was just being a big old brat. There are so many other people in this world that are in much worse conditions than I am. And I'm sitting here feeling sorry for myself when I actually have the ability to even get treatment. Not only that, at least I'm told when I'm gonna be done. I have a finish line to look at. There's a banner that says finish, and I can actually see it. This lady doesn't have that. She has to do this until her life is over. I asked her why. She said, "The only reason I'm doing chemo is to keep me alive, and my kids want me to do it. Otherwise, I don't know why I'm here. If it wasn't for my kids, I would not be doing this." It was that moment I realized that I need to sit back in my seat, strap on my belt, and just go for this ride, bumpy or not, because I know that this ride will come to a stop at some point. Just deal with it, and deal with it with dignity, because that's what this lady's doing right now. I never saw that lady again. It's like she was an angel who came down to enlighten me and allow me to find my own strength, and then just vanished. That moment on, I think every session that I had, I tried to go in with a happy face. I really did. And I would talk to the nurses about Bollywood and what I do, and they were all super nice and so sweet.
Cool. I love him so much. When I was on the floor prior to becoming the manager, you know, I did care for him a lot, and he had just constant, just great energy. Always making us laugh. Great pictures that he showed us of, you know, when we started finding out that he was a choreographer for Bollywood and did everything. So we were just fascinated with everything that he was doing, and, you know, his stories and everything that, you know, he was just so open and so vibrant, and he had such a great outlook about everything. And even on his worst days, when he was just in so much pain from the injections that he was receiving to stimulate his white blood cell count, I think he hated those more than the chemotherapy itself. I mean, he was in so much pain, but no matter what, he always managed to smile, and he always managed to have such a positive outlook on things.
Nakul had a stage 2 testicular cancer, meaning that it had spread into the lymph nodes. So in addition to having an operation to remove the cancer, he got standard chemotherapy with 3 chemotherapy drugs. We monitor patients very carefully through treatment with blood tests every week. And we do tests of kidney function, do tests of lung function. But he has some numbness of the fingers and toes from the nerve toxicity from the cisplatin and some hearing loss.
So I have this ringing in my ear that now it's actually not that bad. But it can sound a little bit like this. Okay, ready? It sounds like that. On a bad day, it sounds like that. And it's in your ears all the time. Because I was a dance teacher and I'm exposed to children, that if I were to get sick and I get an infection, that could prolong my treatment. So instead of 9 weeks, I might have to go for like 10 or 11. And so your best precaution is to have all the kids wear masks, or Nakul can wear masks as well. You know, just like you can run your studio that way. And I just didn't want that to be the experience at my studio. You know, I don't want to bring that reality to Bollywood. Bollywood is a world of dreams. And the songs and dance numbers are an escape from the real world. And I didn't want my illness to come into an escape. I think that wasn't what I wanted to do.
We were about 3 months away from our show, and you know, I was subbing his classes, but every day I would come home, and you know, I don't think I've ever witnessed creativity like I did in those months. I don't know of anybody who can sit and choreograph from being in bed. As a dancer myself and as a choreographer, usually when you're teaching and when you're trying to choreograph something, it's movement. You get up and you do it, and that's what makes you think of the new step. But to sit and not use your legs and arms and just rely purely on your brain and visual skills and just verbally tell someone, okay, do this now, move that here now, put your right arm up and sway to the right. I mean, that's a master doing his work. And you know, he did that. He choreographed all of his dances from being in bed and just verbalizing and vocalizing and letting us know what he wanted to do.
One of the things I was laughing about, or trying to laugh about, when I found out that I had cancer, I was like, okay, well, at least I'll get skinny by the end of this whole thing. Like, I'll look good. I can fit in my size 28 jeans that I had, you know, and well, not size 28, waist 28. my parents were like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do for, like, treat yourself? What would you like to do? So, like any kid, because I am a big kid, I said, I want to go Disney World. So, I went to Disney World. I had, from social media, messages from around the world, notes from past students, former students, parents. Probably had around, I probably read around like 100 between notes, text messages, letters, cards, Facebook, probably 100 messages a day that I got.
I heard about your recent illness, but I want to tell you that I'm sure you're going to be fine. God is great. Just have lots of faith, and I'm sure you're going to be fine and healthy again to rock so you can dance again. God bless you, Nakul. God bless you.
I'm really absolutely indebted to my family and my supporters and my fans all over the world, my close and dearest friends, that they got me through this. And I hope that people that are going through this as well have that kind of support. So I'm very, very lucky. One thing that cancer has taught me is to appreciate life more. And that is something that I feel that I always did, but I did feel as if I was in a rat race, like constantly. I don't know how to be number two. I don't. I run through a lot of hard work, the most experienced Bollywood dance company in America. And I'm very blessed that I've been on the top of my game in what I do in my field. So I think that when I got sick, it really brought things into perspective for me to understand what's really important in life. Not this race that we're in to be number one. It's not about that. It's about being healthy and happy and being loved and then giving that back. And that's what cancer taught me. I hope that my story of my illness will bring awareness to men to be more aware of their health and not think that they're supermen, that they're invincible. There's so many lessons that I learned from being ill, and that was yet another one. That it's okay for me. It's okay for me to be weak, and it's okay for letting people see me that way. Because at the end, I've never felt stronger in my life. I think at a very young age, probably want to say 5 or 6, I knew I was different and I wasn't, the same as other boys. I didn't like the activities that they were in, sports especially, but just like the conversations that they were, having. At the age of 5, there's not much to really talk about, but nonetheless, I wasn't drawn to wanting to hang out with them. I was more interested in what the girls were doing. And at the time, you don't know what that is. what that means, but I always knew I was a little bit different at that time. And I knew that there was something that was somewhat different because I enjoyed dancing to a lot of the girl stuff, and I didn't like dancing as much to the guy stuff. And I'm talking about Bollywood. I was more drawn to the Bollywood actresses than I was to the Bollywood actors. And therefore I kind of felt that it was different and at the same time wrong, because my mother would scold me a lot about not just dancing, but she would scold me about why I'm dancing to Rekha, a Bollywood actress, her music, her songs, her dances. And now I know I was scaring her, because I think that deep down inside she knew that I'm not normal. It wasn't until junior high school that I started feeling attracted to men. It was just, I just found them cuter than I did the girls. There's something about them that I just liked more. And I laughed at their jokes more than I did the girls. And yet I wanted to hang out with the girls socially. And I knew that at that point I was really doubting my sexuality. I started getting teased a lot in junior high school. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, moving forward into high school, but middle school was where the bullying began, of being teased, being called a fag, and being ostracized, really. I was made fun of for being Indian at my elementary school. They would condescendingly ask me, "Did your mom get shot in the forehead? Is that why she has a red dot? Do you eat monkey brains?" I would be taunted by kids pressing their index finger against the middle of their forehead and say, "Are you Indian? Or are you Indian?" Holding the peace sign with their shaking fingers and making that stereotypical noise where you hoot and cover, then uncover your mouth. Sounds like... There was one time where my classmates did that while running around me.
To keep my body moving.
It wasn't until middle school when I started getting bullied. I was in the 7th grade in my English and social studies class. It was a very large classroom with around 50 to 60 students. The class was divided into 2 groups that faced each other, the hamburgers and the hot dogs. We had an assignment to color in certain countries on the map. The teachers were situated at their desk way in the back of the room. Unbeknownst to me, my feminine mannerisms triggered a comment from a surfer-type boy named Tommy, who often teased me. Tommy, who sat in the hamburger section, called my name and yelled, "Are you a fag?" I was dumbstruck, and everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at me. I had at least 50 people laughing at me. I didn't answer. He carried on. "Well, are you?" I replied back in a very sassy manner, which didn't help. No, this incident became the talk of the entire week, before school, at lunch, and after school. And that doesn't ever go away. That sticks with you forever. Like here I'm at 40 years old, still talking about it. Yeah, kids are mean and they're cruel and they don't know that some things that they can say to you just... That doesn't go away. But you just get strong from it, and that's all you can do. But that was the beginning of a nightmare of suppressing what I really felt, because now I know that whatever I'm feeling is going to be made fun of and socially won't be accepted. I once got punched in the face. Yeah. Got punched in the face because someone was fearful of what I stood for, even though I wasn't really standing for anything. I was just a very quiet guy that surrounded himself with lots of girls, and someone just didn't like me and they socked me in the face, and never told my mom or my dad about it. I didn't want them to feel bad, and I didn't know what to explain to them. Like, what do I say to them? Like, I got socked in the face because someone's calling me a fag. I didn't want them to worry about me, so I just kind of kept it to myself. I had no one to defend me. High school rolled in. My feelings for men were stronger now. So now at this point, I started having like real crushes, and there was nothing that I could do about it. And I had girlfriends, and I kind of suppressed those feelings and hid in my own world. And I enjoyed them, their company, and whatever minimal intimacy that I had at that time. It just, it felt fine, it felt natural, and I felt that whatever I'm thinking in terms of men, it's just confusion. Everything worked. So I just really thought that I was just confused. But on the flip side, I was still fighting these temptations that I had with wanting to be with a man, or feeling what that is. I was still having crushes on guys, but never was able to proceed or to explore that because of community pressure, of knowing that this will never be accepted, because in the Indian community, we don't have out gay people. At least not in the 90s. We didn't have that. The only gay people that I knew were married to women and had children. So that's the message that the community was giving me.
Every family doesn't want their child to be alone, or doesn't want their child to be rejected, or doesn't want you never want your child to choose a harder path in life, right? So, I mean, I feel like my brother chose like two of the hardest paths in life he could, right? He's a male dancer and he's gay on top of it, right? So all we wanted to do is ever like protect him from, you know, getting abused or told don't take that path, or, you know, told why are you this way, or what. All we wanted to do is protect him.
Being Indian and being gay, I think, is an added extra challenge because we have such strong cultural expectations that are set of us from a very young age. We're conditioned to wanting to go to school and then go to college and then becoming something and getting a job and then getting married and then having kids.
Nakul's challenges and his internal conversations with himself, you know, I don't think anyone really is born to say, you know, like, okay, today I'm going to be a gay man. It's not easy. It's not an easy life. It's not an easy choice. It's not a choice.
As a culture, we have extremes, just like anywhere else. You have people who are conservative, you have people who are more free-flowing, free-minded.
So there was all of these different components coming from me from different angles, from the dance angle to the community angle, just every corner telling me that what I'm really feeling is not right and not normal, and it'll never be accepted. And what I always would go back to is that moment of being called a fag in front of 50 people, which scars you. And I never wanted to ever put myself in that situation ever again. And it wasn't until I graduated from high school and went into college that I was finally able to explore myself being what I called at the time bisexual. I just thought that I'm just bi. That's what I am. I have the best of both worlds, you know, lucky me. And convince myself, like, this is who you are, good for you, more the merrier, you know. And all my friends would be like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, for sure, like, yeah. This is who I am. I look back and I was completely just in denial, utter denial. And I was just scared. I didn't know what to do. I took a women's studies course, which changed my life completely. And I heard the stories of like these women that are heartbroken, children that are like torn because their dad's actually gay and he's coming out in his 50s, you know, and just a lot of turmoil and a lot of dishonesty. And I realized that I can't do that. If I already feel that my life is already ruined for being gay and I felt that that's a curse or that's a sin or whatever it is, I was already going through my own turmoil, my own struggle. But I can't bring that to someone else's life. That is selfish. And I could not do that. And then from that moment on, and this is me at 25-ish, I called up my friends and I said, so you know that whole bi thing that I said I was? Yeah, I'm not. I'm just gay. Yeah, we know. I'm like, really? Yeah, we knew. We knew it was just a phase. So now I'm finally not lying to myself and I'm putting myself out there. And it was a very interesting experience of just that culture. And it's a tough culture. It's very tough. Not easy at all. And not easy at all because for me, I was publicly known in my community. So I didn't want to out myself. And I didn't know what the community would do or say. Would they stop hiring me to perform at their weddings? Would they trust me with their children, especially their boys? Would they, you know, still see me for the performer that I am? Or will all of that just go in vain? All my hard work because I am gay.
Nakul is the type of person that has gone through so many adversities in his life, but he'll never back down from it. Adversities like fighting cancer, being accepted as a South Asian man in living a gay lifestyle. These are all qualities that you could only look up and think, man, I wish that I had the strength to go through all this and then set the example for everyone else on top of that.
So one day I went to my mom and my dad's house and I decided that this is going to be the day that I'm going to come out to them. And I was contemplating it for several weeks. And my sister kept telling me that they're not going to understand, they're not going to get it. Dad will start reading like books on it, mom will start crying, they'll put you on medication. Just don't, they're not going to get it. And I said, okay. So, and that's what kind of kept me from coming out to them for so long. And to my parents. My sister came out too a long time ago.
We were going to Vegas for the weekend, and my brother dropped us off at the airport and hands me a letter in a sealed envelope and says, read it when you're on the plane. And I open it and read the letter. And it is a heartfelt letter from my brother to me, with him coming out. And so I read the letter, and he's like, you were supposed to wait till you were on the plane and not call me. But I said, of course you knew I wasn't gonna wait till I got on the plane. And we both cried, and it was important for him to do that, because I think he needed to have that moment of like writing it down and really expressing his feelings and really expressing his journey and what he had felt like he had really gone through, and to that point to say to me.
So this was the day, 8 months into being with my now husband, and I sit down on the couch staring at this blank screen, and my dad is very observant, and he said, is everything okay with you? And he never really asked me that question, like, is everything okay with you, in that tone. And then I just started shaking my head, and I started bawling. And my mom was in the kitchen, because mom's always in the kitchen. She comes running out, sits next to me. Dad hops from the couch on that side, comes, sits next to me. They're both on each side of me. I'm like, my face is in my hand. I'm just weeping. And I'm sure that they felt that I am sick or something just really bad happened to me. That's probably the go-to. And then I just said it out loud. I said, crying, I said, I'm gay. And instantly, there was like this embrace, and they both said, that's okay. That's not even a big deal. Like, what are you crying about? And I couldn't believe that I heard that. And that just made me cry even more. It was this burden that was just lifted off my shoulders after 32 years of carrying this weight, of keeping something that is so personal, but at the same time, that is your identity. And I couldn't share that with my mom and my dad. They never knew their son until I came out to them. They never got the full story. And it is a part of me. And they accepted it. And I never knew that was possible.
That day we were sitting in the family room, and Nakul was sitting there, and he said, I have something to tell you. So I said, okay. I thought something went wrong, or he did something, or he got ticket, or So I said, okay, go ahead, and what happened? Tell us what happened. And then he told us, and actually, like, it was surprise for me, but I said, it doesn't matter, because in the end, you're my son, So you're different, it doesn't matter to me, as long as we love each other, we will support you.
I was very happy because he had a sense of relief, because he like Renu says, if he had told us that 10 years before that, or whenever, our reaction would have been the same.
I had told them that I tried really, really hard not to be this way, that I tried having girlfriends, that I tried my best to get it out of me, and it came to a point where I didn't even want to live. Like, there were so many times where I just didn't want to live. My dad, after when I told him that I'd gone through a lot of pain in school, And just inside, he just started crying. And I'll never forget this, but he said, "Don't you know that you're the son that everybody wants? You're the son that everybody wants. Like you've taken our name and you've brought so much pride to our name. And how can we ever be ashamed of you?" I never really got help for this. You know?
Yeah.
I've suppressed all my feelings and just grew a thick skin. That's why I am who I am. That's why I don't let anyone with me at all. Because when you've been kicked around and pushed around your entire life, you know, you just, at one point you just stop and you put on those gloves and you just punch your way out. Then at some point you forget there's no one to punch anymore, but you don't know how not to. You just keep punching. And I haven't been able to stop punching until I met him. We met on the internet on a dating site called Plenty of Fish.
Yeah.
And it was probably my 100th attempt in trying to find true love. And he had a very stunning picture of himself, of this Hawaiian boy with tan skin and really styled hair and that smile that he has that wins everybody. And what did I have?
You had a dance photo. It was a photo with you doing, is it an arabesque?
Yeah.
So you had one leg down and one leg up. You were wearing all white. I remember that. Long pants, long shirt, long sleeve shirt.
And then, but when we had our first date, it was at, it was in Long Beach at a little coffee shop called...
A library?
The library,
Yeah.
that's right. It was supposed to be a coffee date,
yeah,
but it led to dinner because we were having such a good time. And I think that evening I knew that it was weird, but I knew I was done looking. It was pure joy and it was real and we had a connection.
Well, my perspective, I'm very guarded when it comes to relationships. I'm a very sensitive person, so I am always, the guard is up really high and it takes me some time for me to kind of feel safe. So the second day it almost didn't happen. I didn't realize how much your word means to you with this person. And I told him that I'd call him and I didn't call him that night. And so apparently it caused a lot of rift where he was not going to want.
No, you're missing the whole thing. So this is what really happened. It wasn't just not calling me. We had plans that night. And I know because
If I were to call you.
No, I know we had plans. I got my eyebrows done.
So my favorite thing about him is his sense of humor. He makes me laugh all the time. It's when there's those tense moments or those moments of that are awkward that he will crack a joke and it'll just break the mood. So he makes me laugh all the time.
Thank you. I feel the same way about you too, baby. I feel that you make me laugh, but I think that what I like the most about you is that you've accepted all my flaws, and there's so many, and you've just taken them and you've flipped them into something positive. And I think that's the most amazing gift that you've given me, baby, is that you've taken my flaws and you made them into something amazing.
Wow. So he's my best friend, he's my partner in crime, he's my comedian.
We hope that our being together, our story, our journey inspires people. And this obviously wasn't like our agenda. We fell in love and just wanted to stop or at least for me, wanted to stop hiding. And there's a great story that kind of came out of this. I had a student whose mother came up to me, and when she found out that I got married, and she said to me that you're changing so many lives for the future that you don't even know right now, because our community needs this right now, and you did it. And I was just like dumbfounded. I didn't even know how to process that. Yeah, and it was accidental. Accidental in the sense that this was not my purpose. This was not any. This is just us being us. It's people being people. It's not even a big deal, but sadly,
it is.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And there's so many South Asians in particular, adults that are not finding the courage to come out and be themselves. And I see it a lot, and it saddens me. I have Indian parents, and I have a huge family, conservative, some liberal, some all types, and everyone has embraced my husband, my lifestyle, and me. My business has not been affected. My students do not judge me or my lifestyle. I'm not flaunting it, I'm just being me. Work is work, personal is personal, but he's integrated in our charity work that we do, that he's in charge of. But it seems scary, but being who you are is more important. And living your life the way it was meant to be is more important than drowning yourself because your culture or your religion or your family says so. Because you'll never really be happy. I just hope that my contribution with my story changes lives and perspectives for people. I think it's important. And our community doesn't have that. We don't have enough. We don't have enough. We don't have Ellens, and we don't have Bollywood celebrities that are out and gay, that are talking about it. We don't. There needs to be a shift. There needs to be role models. There needs to be people that young boys and girls can look up to and say, they've done it, they're successful, they're happy, they're living, they're thriving, they're still driven, they're not broken, and I can do it too. Because I didn't have that, so.
I definitely think Nakul is a role model, and I will say this, I view him as a role model, but it's not because he's gay. It's because he has truly embraced who he is, and because I see that, it inspires me. And I think that's why so many people connect with him, because he truly is 100% authentic, and to see that, you don't cross paths with that kind of person every day.
To bring out his personal life in the open and show people that it's okay to be different and to still have the love in your life and to be proud of it and be surrounded by loved ones is amazing. So I'm very proud of him, and I think he's a role model for sure.
To my left is Mahatma Gandhi, and to my right is Ellen DeGeneres. I find that so ironic because this is the same school that I was teased for being Indian. And teased for being gay. And there is now a peace sign in the middle between an Indian legend, icon, leader, forefather, Mahatma Gandhi, and a woman who's carved paths for so many gay people in this world, and has become an icon herself. And, wow. Things are getting better, I think.
You make India proud because even though you're not here, you're still keeping the name and the tradition and the culture of it alive through your dancing and through your work and your choreography.
He's one of those clients that is a complete delight to work with. He's total professional, and we deal with all kinds of personalities, all kinds of people, and he's up at the top in terms of his professionalism. And we just love him.
He walks in gratitude. And that's so important because, you know, that gratitude will follow you when the lights go out and you're no longer getting the... It follows you and it lifts you when you're not having the greatest of times. So the gratitude is extremely important, and he lives life through walking gratitude, and he's a wonderful teacher for all of us.
My parents, my mom and my dad, are huge Bollywood fans from the very beginning. Like my dad playing old black and white Muhammad Rafi and Lata Mangeshkar music in the car. On the flip side, my mom would be watching Bollywood movies at home all the time. And I think that I grew up in the 70s and 80s. So it was a lot of Amitabh Bachchan and Rekha films. So we always had some Bollywood influence in the house, whether it was music or the actual Bollywood movie, the actual visual. I used to, in my room, secretly play Hindi music. I would shut the door, and I used to do, and this is me at like 7, 8, and 9. I used to copy all the moves that I would see in the Bollywood movies. And I would do not just only Amitabh Bachchan, but I would do Rekha too. I would do both of them.
You know, we would watch a lot of Bollywood movies growing up. That was something that my mom would always, you know, want to do, because I guess that was her way to connect with her being here and wanting to connect, you know, being back home. So we'd always watch a lot of Bollywood movies, but then he would go into his room and start like reenacting the dance scenes and doing stuff. And that's not something I did. And I was always like, why is he dancing in his room? And I thought it was just kind of strange, you know?
And I remember my mother would, she would yell at me going, what are you doing? Like, you don't do that.
See, in our culture, boys, you know, when I was growing up, boys were not allowed to dance. So it was hard for me in the beginning. But slowly he used to hide and dance, and so it was kind of hard for me to understand why he's doing this.
And I think finally my parents just gave in. They're just like, this is what he does, and just let him be. They were okay. And then I would always get compliments at birthday parties and weddings when the social dancing would open on the dance floor, where everyone would freestyle and dance at parties. And I would be the one usually the only guy that would stand out. I think towards like the early 90s is when I really started liking Michael Jackson and his creativity. But before that, it was Paula Abdul that, you know, she was singing and dancing, and I was a big fan, and I would watch all of her interviews, and it was through her that I knew that there was something called being a choreographer. So Paula Abdul for me was validation that, okay, people can do this for a profession and a career, and I'm gonna try to do this. I remember my friends and my parents telling me that everybody was shocked. They're like, we didn't know that Nakul could dance like that. And my dad told me that years later, he told me, he's like, you know, that day when you performed at the Diwali function, you know, I had tears in my eyes. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. I'm like, guess what? I had tears in my eyes every time you guys told me not to dance.
Nakul was very enthusiastic about learning Indian cultural forms, dance forms. And while I believe in the purity of dance, whether it's Kathak or Bharatanatyam, and retaining the purity as a performer, it's important to recognize that when you talk about Bollywood, when you talk about that style of dance, if he wanted to adapt some of these cultural moves into that form, why not? Because Bollywood really is a blend of different dance styles, and it originates in India. So of course we want to see cultural, aspects in that form.
Senior Welcome Solo Box 2, item number F3, the audition.
So one of the CEOs, she's my mentor, Sumita Batra, she used to run this dance contest called the Ziba Dance Contest, and it ran for around 10 years. And I took part in that, and I would do it every year. And I did it every year until Sumita told me one year, she's like, you need to stop competing, because when people submit their application forms, they ask, is Nakul Dev Mahajan competing? And when they find out that they are, they're extracting their application because they're not wanting to compete. Because you win every year. And then, so can you please stop competing and just be a judge? So I got booted off the competition at the age of like 20, that I couldn't compete anymore.
So during the Ziba Dance Contest days, Nakul was competitive. He was systematic. He was very, the first one to register the song he wanted. We didn't allow repeat songs, and Nakul was going to get the song he wanted. So he would harass me to know the deadlines, and he was on it. And that has translated to how I see him as a choreographer today and how I see him as a teacher today. He's still on it. He's really systematic, and he's really consistent. And year after year after year, you see him just continue to not only compete with himself to make himself better, compete with his own product to make it better. That's exactly how he was at the Ziba Dance Contest. Every year it had to be something absolutely powerful, and it had to be something absolutely fantastic, and it had to be better than the year before.
So eventually it ended up becoming my initials. NDM Dance Productions was the name of the company, which was comprised of family, cousins, and close friends. It was the beginning stages of what I didn't know, the first Bollywood company in the USA.
He's such a good teacher. He could have taught anything. He could have taught physics if he wanted to. He chose to teach dancing, and he's the best. I've never seen anybody communicate that well to children that he does, that he can.
So my parents said, what do you want to do? Like, what's your dream right now? And I said, I really want to open up a Bollywood dance studio. We don't have one in Los Angeles. And they said, okay, well, a deal's a deal. You went to college, you have a degree, you're gonna get your credentials to become a teacher. So you'll have a 9 to 5 and you can teach dance on the side because that's your passion. So my dad found an empty warehouse and we literally did a lot of research and homework and converted it into a state-of-the-art, customized Bollywood dance school.
So I walked into NDM 10 years ago, and it actually happened to be their dress rehearsal weekend for a show that was coming up. And I walked in and I literally felt that somebody had taken like my dreams and put it into reality, because I walk into this space that is dedicated just for Bollywood, and there's all these students dancing in Bollywood costumes, there's Bollywood music playing, and I was in awe. And I think I stood there for a few minutes because I couldn't believe that something like this existed.
NDM, you had this almost like magical Disney feel of what you could only expect like a Bollywood studio would be like. Pictures of actors all over the walls. It was kind of like shining because the light was on them. A huge dance floor, mirrors there, you know, Natraj all over. You had trophies of everything that Nakul has won and all of his classes have won. In one area, it was just this spectacle that I was like, whoa, I did not know this existed, and it was something that just blew me away.
We had the icon, the legend, Dharmendra, who came within the first 6 months of our opening and wanted to see, he heard about the studio, he was in Los Angeles, and he wanted to come meet me. He wanted to come see the studio. And he walked around and he loved it. He complained about his picture. I only had one picture of him, and he complained about the size of it. He said, it needs to be a bigger picture. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Next time you come, bring me a bigger picture. And he said, put it right over this. And he pointed at a picture of Shah Rukh Khan. I said, yeah, I'll put it right over that. I started finally getting validated in the community. I felt it was a little hypocritical because I'm finally making money and because I finally have some success, that only then were people validating my parents of how proud you must be. And the comments of, how's your son gonna survive? And are you okay with your son dancing? You know, all those talks were just gone. But I felt that that was just not fair, because if I did it, because more dancers and choreographers in this world don't make it than the ones that do make it. And I feel that you shouldn't be proud of the ones that do make it. You need to be proud of the ones that also don't make it. Because at the end, they're pouring their heart and soul into their art, and there's passion in there. And not everyone's lucky. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. It's talent and preparation and hard work mixed with luck. That is Nakul Dev Mahajan.
So when Nakul started NDM, there was a lot of talks of this new Bollywood dance studio that had been opened up, because that was something completely unheard of. A lot of people were teaching, but maybe they were teaching out of their homes or garages, community centers, schools, mandirs, all sorts of stuff, but nobody had actually taken that first step of opening up a Bollywood studio that solely served the purpose of teaching Bollywood dancing. So when he opened the studio, not only did his 60 kids follow him there, but within the first year, he had tripled his enrollment.
So the dance studio really became like this magnet where people are wanting to come because this guy opened up a Bollywood dance school. And yet I didn't have the manpower to give the supply and demand to what was needed. So we hired more people and we started branching out by renting out different facilities that were further away from Little India in Artesia, and started generating students coming there. And it's no longer a one-man show. We have a team of 5 to 6 dancers, teachers, choreographers, very talented people, Kushiniazi, Varun, Gurunath, to name a few, that are just the anchors of our company.
Not only did NDM attract a lot of students to come learn Bollywood dancing, but it also attracted a lot of aspiring Bollywood dancers who maybe wanted to take their dancing to the next level and join something more professional, because there was absolutely nothing of this caliber in the nation that anyone offered.
NDM's first big break came with Passions, which was this over-the-top fantasy soap opera that was extremely popular in the mid-2000s. And Nakul got his first big break with that. And it was huge because it became this historical moment for Bollywood in America, because it was the first time you were seeing Bollywood dancing on daytime television.
Nakul set the standard for what Bollywood dancing should look like to the American audiences. He set the bar, and he set it pretty high, but somehow he manages to raise it each and every time he puts his work out there.
This led to more and more Hollywood projects like MTV Next, the character fantasy on USA Network, NBC's The Office with Steve Carell, Natalie Portman. More and more projects kept coming in, and Nakul became the go-to Bollywood choreographer, and he was accepted into the Hollywood fraternity.
Well, we're very, very proud of Nakul, and so happy that we represent him, because he is now the premier choreographer, Bollywood choreographer in Hollywood. He is the go-to person, and so for us it's fantastic that he's been afforded all these amazing opportunities, mostly because of So You Think You Can Dance.
Along with all these Hollywood projects came along So You Think You Can Dance, which really sealed the deal for him and made him a household name and a Bollywood choreographer. And not only just a Bollywood choreographer, but the Bollywood choreographer to go to for any kind of projects.
I'm watching So You Think You Can Dance season 4, early on in the season, and thinking to myself, wouldn't it be amazing if they do Bollywood one day? That would be just fantastic. And that's all I kind of put out. Like, that was it. I didn't even think it should be me, or, you know, I hope I get the call. It wasn't even like that. It was just a thought of, wouldn't it be wonderful if they did Bollywood? A week later, I get a phone call from Ashley Landers, and she says to me that our executive producer, Jeff Thacker, would like to meet you.
Yes, we found Nakul and we brought him to So You Think You Can Dance, but he is the one that inspired us to bring him to the show. He is the one who is artistic, is creative, is passionate about his culture and his style of dance, and he is extremely talented, and he is a very giving person. He's so detailed, and so that all of those things tied together make for a complete performance on So You Think You Can Dance, whether it's contemporary or hip hop or Bollywood, you know, and I think that he very much represents that. So for us, we're the lucky ones that we get to have him a part of our show, and that he can use this as a tool to express himself.
Nakul came in and he sold Bollywood like it was the biggest thing. And it was so exciting. I went and saw a few pieces of his stuff and decided to invite him onto the show, which he did in season 4. And his first routine was with Joshua and Katie. And it was, I think, one of the most memorable, if not the most memorable, Bollywood routine we've ever done since.
I feel like Bollywood was introduced to the American television audience through Nakul. They're in a very powerful way.
So we're at the big day, and the show's gonna air. And I don't know how it's going to unfold. And they did fantastic. And it was a moment. It was a moment in history. And I had no idea that this 90-second number would be the third most viewed video on YouTube for a week.
I think what's so great about Nakul's choreography is that there are little stories to it. So it's not just the steps, it's the characters that he gets them playing, I think, which is really important, because obviously, you know, the dancers are not going to be perfect Bollywood dancers. But I watched him develop his style so that they do pick it up. And I think over the years what's happened is he's realized how to choreograph non-Bollywood dancers and make them look good.
There's a difference of seeing your work on aspiring students, and there's a reward from that itself. But there's another reward of seeing your vision and your work on bodies that are dance machines, because they take it to a different level. And Joshua and Katie took it to a different level. And the world saw a Bollywood number done by non-Indians who've embraced the culture. And that was a gift.
Bollywood is on American television, and So You Think You Could Dance was brave enough to do that. They want traditional Bollywood on the show. They can totally get hip-hop, jazz, contemporary, and all the other genres they have from other top choreographers. America sees that from them. They want the classic Bollywood that they know when you say Bollywood dancing. And that's what Nakul provides, because he's the best at it.
So You Think You Can Dance became a platform for me to start trying other things and getting other jobs, and opportunities started rolling in. I immediately got a chance to come back to the show the following week and did another routine that went really well. But the following year, the friends I made on the show, Nappy Taps, they invited me to do a very special Bollywood episode on America's Best Dance Crew, where they wanted to dedicate Indian styles of dance into all their crews, who were all hip-hop.
Due to the success of So You Think You Can Dance, Nakul became Hollywood's favorite Bollywood choreographer. And after that, the projects just kept rolling in, and he was able to work with people like A. Rahman on his world tour and the Nobel Peace Prize. He brought Bollywood to the White House with Michelle Obama, and he was able to work with pop stars like Paula Abdul and One Direction.
They're fun, they're stressful, but it's another challenge because these projects can be very tricky at times, and you have to make it work. And time is everything, and time is money, and you gotta get the job done. And I always get it done, and I always make sure that is being done correctly without disrespecting anybody.
Always remember the routine that Caitlin Kinney did, and it was a Nakul number. And then years later, I became friends with Caitlin. And I said, I just want to know, what was it like working with that choreographer, Nakul? And she could not stop raving about him. And when a dancer can rave, and Caitlin is an accomplished, beautiful ballerina, the kind of compliments she gave about Nakul made me very intrigued, because it was not just the talent of that routine, which really put her as a favorite on the map for her season of So You Think You Can Dance, but also spoke to the integrity of a human being, Nakul is. And it just made me smile, because I felt, just watching him on tape, on the packaged pieces, that there's something really special and magical, and just good heart. Like, his heart was just so pure and wonderful.
When you learn from Nakul, you're not just going step after step with him. It's not just the teaching or the choreography that you're going through a full educational and cultural experience with him. You take a piece of India and you take different dance styles that are in Bollywood dancing from India, and he is putting that out there for you to learn. So whether you take classes with him for 1 year or you take it for just 1 hour, you leave with better cultural understanding than you ever thought you could have?
Nakul the teacher is strict because Nakul the teacher takes his art form very seriously. And he's also attached to our culture, and he sees the difference in today's youth from what we used to be like. My oldest, who is 22, he was stricter pre-cancer. I think post-cancer he softened a little bit. And yet he's still he's a very passionate teacher that loves his art form and wants that respect and recognition given to the culture and the art form and the storytelling medium of Bollywood. He really is very good at what he does, and he will not take less than your best. And then if he knows this is your best, he'll accept it.
After my cancer treatment was over, I got a lovely call by this beautiful and intelligent young lady named Nina Davuluri. Nina winning the title of Miss America was not just a huge moment for South Asians, but women of color. It was defining what the girl next door now looks like. And to be associated with her win, it just filled my heart. And she won on my birthday.
I had heard Nakul's name quite a few times, especially through So You Think You Can Dance. And so I ended up Googling him, and through that found his website. Thought it would be, a shot in the dark, but emailed him, and I was so thrilled with the response. We were both, I think, very equally excited to work together. So flew out from New York to LA, trained with him for 2 days, and it was quite an experience.
After Nina's win, I got a call from my agent, and my agent called me and said, "What is your thoughts on going to the White House and teaching Michelle Obama Bollywood dancing with some students from schools nearby?" And I said, "Whose house?" She said, "The White House." I said, "Yeah, I thought you said the White House. Michelle Obama wants me?" She's like, "Yeah, she said that she wanted Nakul because she's a huge fan of So You Think You Can Dance, and she wanted you to come and do a little Bollywood masterclass in the White House, inside the White House. Are you free?" I said, "When is it?" She said, "Next week." I said, "Yes." I didn't even look at my calendar. I'm like, "Yes, I'm there." So Nina and Michelle Obama were my two gifts that I got in return of not being able to get the 2 jobs that I did when I was going through treatment. There's something bigger and better. And I tell that to all my students now, that when there's something that you didn't get and you really, really wanted and you feel that you deserved it, you just have to let it go, because there's something out there that is bigger for you and more deserving for you. You have to believe that. And it may not happen within a week or 2. It may take a year. But it's going to take its place, and you'll realize it. When I look back at my career, I've been so lucky. I really, really have been. I've never claimed that I'm the best dancer, the best choreographer. Never claimed that. And always tried to be the best that I could be, but never said that, "Oh yeah, I'm the best," and never felt entitled to anything. What I do know is that I've worked really hard. I did something when I was told by so many people that I couldn't. And I opened up something that didn't exist. And people said it wouldn't work.
When choreographers are hired for certain jobs, the directors usually have a pretty good idea of what they want, and the directions to the choreographer are so detailed that it sometimes really limits the choreographer in what the product is. And it's not that the choreographer, you know, doesn't want to do more or can't step out of the box. It's they have to stay true to what the director's wants and needs are for that specific project. And it's not just Nakul. There's a lot of choreographers that are so-called put in this box or might even be typecasted. And it's not that they don't want to do more, that they can't do more. It's just they're trying to stay true to what they've been hired for. And at the end of the day, they have to make sure that they deliver to the director's expectations.
Nakul is just so full of energy and life, and that's so contagious. And so I am, you know, I'm actually a very quiet, more reserved, shy person, I would say, and Nakul just brought out this whole other side of me. And I remember at one point in our training session, we just needed a break, or I just needed a break because it was, you know, you push your body to a limit that you really didn't expect. And he was like, honey, let's just dance. And so we did this like crazy dance, like ballroom kind of style, and like just to let loose and feel like you're a kid again and have that energy is so rare when you're just going through life. So he was a breath of fresh air.
I feel really fortunate that our paths cross. That's, you know, who gets to do that? It's pretty awesome that we, you know, and we become friends. Like, and his text to me, I finished the show, went out to dinner, and I had to show the text and I read it out loud, just what it meant for me to speak volumes of how much I enjoyed his routine. And you know what? You take things for granted. There's no ego with Nakul.
Nakul and I are, yes, we have over the years developed a friendship outside of So You Think You Can Dance, and he's just a beautiful person, and I'm very fortunate to have his friendship. And he's a very giving person. He's very selfless. I know that he's touched so many people's lives through his own personal battles and the way that he represents his community and his culture, and through his dance studio, and the way that he has been able to use his self, you know, just his person as Nakul, and how he's been able to just share that love and joy with so many people. And I think that So You Think You Can Dance has benefited from that, and I have benefited from that as a friend of his as well.
He has got this really charming personality and sense of humor and humanity that comes through as a person. So even though our business side, we represent the choreographer Nakul, I also think that we really admire and appreciate the personal side of Nakul as well.
Absolutely. His kindness, his generosity, his commitment to the industry and to the people around him.
I think he is a role model in a way for just people to do what they love to do. And you can see you can be so successful at it. You know, I hate saying to put him on a pedestal, because I kind of feel bad for him, because I just want him to be a young boy sometimes and have fun, you know? I feel like if you put him on a pedestal, like, it's a little too demanding sometimes. That people want you to be at a certain level. And sometimes I think he just wants to be a young boy and have fun. The more celebrity he gets, the harder it is for him to come out of his shell. He's got to kind of keep this demeanor and this persona that people expect him to have. And sometimes I'd like him to be a little crazy and have a little fun. And he's like, well, what would my students say? What would my teachers say? And I get it. And I'm super proud of him. He's really evolved himself.
Nakul Mahajan, you are one of the finest human beings I've ever met. You're so super talented, and you're so wonderful with what you do. The passion that you have for your trade, for your art, is beyond words that can describe them. I am honored that someone like you came into my life. It's just overwhelming to see your work and how hard you've been working, and how that has reflected in giving you your name and your fame. And I love you, Nakul, and I wish you all the very best.
He is a great man inside and out. What you see is what you get. when you see what you get and he comes to us, it's far bigger and greater than you will ever imagine. So I like to share it with you all.
What I like to focus on is not the one person that says that I should be castrated and that I'm ashamed to my country, because that's been said. I need to focus on the other 9 comments that were made out of 10 that are people telling me that I have made them proud, that I have made India proud, that I've done a good job representing Indian culture to America. And that's what I have now begun, especially after coming out of surviving cancer, is to look at the good, be optimistic, and take out all the negativity that's around me in my space. It's not worth it, especially people that only find hatred. And that's my message. My message is to live life to its fullest. Live life at the best that you can. No one's life is perfect. We all have problems. We all are going to face obstacles and challenges. It's how you get through them that makes you who you really are. And when you know who you are, that's when you begin loving yourself. And you love yourself for all your qualities and all your imperfections. And when that journey begins, you'll be surrounded by others who will gravitate towards you and believe in what you believe in too. Your dreams are important. Your dreams are valid. Your dreams are your dreams.
Nadim